Hey guys, it's Erica. We're going to talk triggers today. Do you recognize when you're being triggered? Because I'll be honest, it's really easy to recognize when someone else is triggered. You can see when someone else's response to a situation is disproportionate to what's actually going on. It's those moments where you see people and you kind of step back and you're like, whoa, where'd that come from? That has nothing to do with what's happening here. But do you recognize when you yourself are triggered? Because the trigger stems, I want to talk a little bit about this today to help you guys understand how this happens. It comes from the unconscious. It comes from the primal. It comes from the inner child. It comes from the shadow. And understanding the triggers when they're happening, to me, is a vitally important piece of managing them, also of growing beyond them, and of showing up in a much more powerful way. Because when someone's triggered, they're not in control of their behavior. They're not in control of their emotions. It's like the trigger or the shadow that is showing itself from whatever has triggered it emerges, and it has more power when you don't see it within yourself. Now, if you don't understand the power of shadow work, definitely check out my podcast. I do have an episode on shadow work in particular and why I think it is literally the most important thing to understand. This is why I'm spending so much time on this channel talking about distortions, toxicity, the distorted masculine, the distorted reaction of the feminine, the distorted reaction of the masculine. So triggers are an example of that happen even when you're in your power. But it's how much power you give your shadow when you are triggered that determines how you experience life and how you move on from that. In fact, it was fascinating when I did the video the other day about narcissism, and simply was bringing up the fact that it is a very important and vital and very it's a very real thing. For example, narcissistic abuse is a very real thing. Yet narcissism is something that is misunderstood by many, and I see many people using the term incorrectly. And what was fascinating is I was doing a video basically saying, guys, stop calling everyone a narcissist, because not everyone is. And it takes away from those that have experienced true narcissistic abuse and true narcissistic personality disorder. And it was literally a brief video. It's such a huge topic. I'm not going to get into it here on the channel because I try to keep these videos short. But it was fascinating how many people were so triggered by that video. It was like their brains went zzz, and suddenly weren't hearing what I was saying. They assumed they thought they knew what I was saying. Many people didn't even watch the whole video because I can tell from the video stats what the average view time of the video is, what percentage of the video has been viewed. And it was fascinating. I got so many comments on that video, and most people didn't even watch the whole video. They just they were immediately triggered for whatever reason and played out their triggers by commenting all over the place about stuff. That was fascinating to observe. So that's why I'm asking you the question, do you recognize when you are triggered? And if so, what do you do about it? Do you have a plan of action? Have you ever even thought about what to do when you yourself are triggered? Because to me, that is the most important part of a soul growth journey, is to admit when you're triggered, say, okay, what am I meant to learn from this? There's so much on how to handle this. I may get into this in other videos. But know that it is part of humanity. Everybody gets triggered from time to time, no matter how much growth you've done or how much personal growth you've done. The triggers still exist. What shifts over time is how much power you give them and how quickly you recognize when you are triggered. Because the people that don't even know they're triggered, they'll go on and on and on and on and on and on to where it's like there's nothing you can do to stop that train that's left the station going 100 miles an hour. So think about it. how do you handle it when your triggers come up? Do you even understand where they come from? Do you understand how to handle them when they come up? If so, share some thoughts down below, because I'd love to hear from you. And if this is something that would be helpful for you, I do have many different ways that I could teach more about this as a way to really get a grasp on how you can navigate through this for yourselves. So, guys, I hope this was helpful. And I hope it gives you some good food for thought. And it's an ongoing journey. I always, I never thought, if you told me years ago that I was going to spend so much time talking about the shadow, I would have been like, yeah, right. Nobody wants to talk about the shadow. It's like everyone knows they have one, but most people don't ever want to talk about it, deal with it, or they put it off till next week because they're just like, I'm having too much fun in my life right now. I don't want to deal with my shadow. But guys, I swear, if you start to understand the power of the shadow, go listen to that podcast episode. I think it's about understanding your shadow side, might be the title of it. The link is down below to check it out. That way, I don't have to spend the time here on the video listening to it. But I tell you, it is the magic sauce. It is the secret sauce to a soul growth journey that can help you get the most progress in your own soul growth than if you ignore that part and spend thousands of hours on other things. This, to me, is truly where the heart of the matter lies. So I hope that was helpful. Do stay tuned to the channel if you're interested in talking a little bit more about this, understanding more. It is what I'm discussing here when I talk about the distortions of masculine and feminine. And I hope that was helpful. Do give it a thumbs up if it has supported you. It helps other people find this channel. And I appreciate you for being here. Until next time, bye.